Antonio starts right now.
All right, we have a leading SA triple header today. We have two congressmen and Inga Cotton from San Antonio Charter Moms helping parents watching right now try to navigate the charter school path. We know it's very important for so many kids, so many families in and around, and obviously there is so much going on in and around our community. So we're going to have these leading SA interviews live throughout the morning. Don't go anywhere, but for now, good morning. It is 8 o'clock. It is Sunday, January 28th. Thank you so much for starting your morning with us.
Good morning. Beautiful morning. I was surprised you didn't run up to the roof to get a picture of the sunrise.
I had too much today. We have three leading SAS.
Yeah.
But yeah, gorgeous sunrise today, and yesterday was picture perfect out there.
Beautiful. Sarah, we are starting off with a chilly start this morning.
We are, but we are going to have crowd-pleasing weather today. Cold this morning, but comfortable in the afternoon. Temperatures this morning in the 30s, 39 degrees in San Antonio. Meanwhile, it's 34 in Kerrville, 38 in Hondo, 43 in New Braunfels, 40 in Del Rio. Closer view around the city. It is 39 in Seguin, 43 Castroville, 36 in Bernie, and 33 in Comfort. Take a look at today's forecast. Temperatures quickly warming. We'll be at 62 by noon, 66 for the high, totally sunny skies, north winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's what we're going to talk about in the forecast. A bit of a dry stretch this week. Maybe get some things done outside that you couldn't do last week because of the rain. As for the forecast, we'll have chilly mornings and comfortable afternoons. However, I do anticipate rain returning to the forecast mainly Friday night into Saturday, so next weekend. Those details coming up in just a bit. Max and Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. New this morning, we now know one person is dead, another person recovering after an overnight crash on the city's southwest side. This is what we know right now. San Antonio police telling us just before 1:30 this morning, a driver lost control of her vehicle, rolled over on Del Lago Parkway near 281. That driver pronounced dead on the scene. The passenger was treated and was released. They are expected to be okay. But right now, investigators still working, trying to figure out how this all happened.
In your Texas headlines, President Biden says he is willing to accept tougher measures to secure the border with Mexico. His remarks come after House Speaker Mike Johnson warned the emerging border deal in the Senate is dead on arrival in the House. So Biden told House Republicans some of their proposals would give the Department of Homeland Security new authority to close the border if daily migrant crossings reach 4,000 over a one-week span. Former President Donald Trump has urged the House Republicans to reject any border deals at this time.
And back here at home in San Antonio, obviously we care so much because there's a direct impact from what we see at the border. The Alamo City is seeing immigration shockwaves, already an overloaded system, and concerns are mounting over the potential impacts recent border influxes may have on the country's immigration courts. In San Antonio, just about a dozen immigration judges, well, they face thousands of cases, and that number is only getting higher.
Texas has the longest border with Mexico, and so we have a disproportionate number of people who enter here, but not all of those people are going to go through court.
Now, just because San Antonio is the city with some families that have to travel through does not mean that this is where immigration court proceedings will play out. Law professors and migrant advocacy groups, they say cases are usually transferred to the city closest to where people plan to stay with family or friends. And obviously, the border is a story that we cover extensively, no matter the time of year. And border apprehensions, they hit record highs in December. Clearly, there's still that dispute going on between the state government and the federal government, trying to figure out what comes next.
That's right. So that's why in today's leading SA this morning, we have Congressman Tony Gonzalez joining us live. Good morning, Congressman. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me.
So, Congressman, what is your current perspective of the problem at the border?
Yeah, it's a mess, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. Here in San Antonio, we feel the brunt of that. These images on Eagle Pass and throughout the border, that they quickly come to San Antonio and they gobble up all of our city resources. They consume our airport. They consume our first responders. I'd say we are a very compassionate city, and there's a way to fix this. And the way to fix this is to surge immigration judges immediately to the border and get people's cases heard in days, not years. And if somebody doesn't qualify for asylum, which is 9 out of 10, you immediately deport them. Unless you do that. And oh, by the way, President Biden, I appreciate some of the words that he's starting to come around to, but he can do this today. So yes, Congress has a role to play, but the president can enact some things today that will alleviate this stress and deport people that are here illegally.
So, Congressman, there's clearly a conflict between the federal government and the state of Texas happening really close to San Antonio and Eagle Pass, even after that Supreme Court ruling. So where do we go from here?
I hate to see it because on the ground, these law enforcement offices and honestly, just communities in general, we're really tight knit. You know, you work together, whether it's state, whether it's local, whether it's federal. And what is happening, the politics is starting to pull us apart. And at the ground level, you know, the boots on the ground that are doing the work are starting to get in this weird position. I'd also say, too, there are many people throughout the country that have this weird fixation with the Civil War. And I'm going, yeah, stay out of my district. You know, I don't want you coming in here and lighting a powder keg. A leader, I think back to my time in the military, a leader de-escalates a situation. A leader finds solutions. And that's what I'm looking for in Congress. People to work with that want to find solutions, and the administration to keep us all safe.
Now, you mentioned that you're starting to appreciate the president's terms, especially in relation to the border. In the last couple of days, obviously, he has issued that statement on the possibility of bipartisan reform. So you mentioned that he could, I assume you were referring to the possibility of an executive order. What does that executive order look like, and how could that take effect, say, before November?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Every administration has done what I'm about to say here. The Trump administration called it the HART program. Essentially, what they do is they surge immigration judges, and they have courts on the border. So you're not waiting till they go to Pittsburgh or they go to Denver or wherever they may go and have to worry about caseloads there. They get their case immediately heard. Obama administration did the same thing. And then once that case they don't qualify for asylum, you don't bus them to different places, or you don't send them different places. You get them on a plane and you send them back to their country of origin. Every president has had to do this. And President Biden will be no different. It's just a matter of when he's willing to do that. They're starting to do some of that, but I've told them they need to be deporting people by the thousands, not by the dozens. And oh, by the way, you can do this in a compassionate way. What needs to happen is we need to encourage legal immigration. We need to encourage those that are legally trying to come over for work visas, legally trying to enter the United States. There's no talk of that.
You're part of the Problem Solvers Caucus. Do you think that there is a realistic bipartisan solution before November?
Before November, I do. I absolutely do, because I think America has had enough. I know here in San Antonio, we've had enough, and we've had enough also with the finger pointing. I mean, people just want this solved. They want to feel safe in their communities. They want to be able to feel, get back to normal, if you will. And so the politics is certainly going to play into it. On one end, it's not enough. On the other end, it's too much. There's always a reason to vote no. That's what I've learned in Congress. There's always a reason to vote no, but it's going to take real leadership to be able to power through that. But it also can't just be window dressing. You can't just get a deal together to say that you got a deal, and if nothing changes, that doesn't help the situation either. But I do think, Max, that there's an opportunity here that members of Congress can come together and find meaningful solutions. But we got a long way to go. Clearly, the Senate has had its issues getting its package together, but I am optimistic about it.
And real quick, Congressman, before we go, the presidential election coming up in November, coming up fast. So what are your expectations?
Oh, it's going to be a circus. It already has been a circus. I think the closer we get to the election, the more rhetoric is going to be infused into the politics on all sides. It's usually what happens during a presidential, and it seems like we're getting more of that. I'm looking at it through the lens of what can we do to help San Antonio and the surrounding areas today. I hope more people kind of view the world through that lens and find solutions.
All right, Congressman Tony Gonzalez, thank you so much for your time this morning. Anyone who missed any of this interview can watch it in its entirety on KSAT.com. And of course, we're going to be hearing from Congressman Henry Cuellar coming up at 8:30. Time now, just about 8:10, 42 degrees.
Go Spurs, go!
Oh my goodness. It was funny, we were talking to Congressman Gonzalez before the interview. He said he was at the Spurs game last night, and what a game to go to.
Good luck charm.
Another win, 2 in a row. We are at double digits, and he beat, technically, the #1 team in the West last night. We're going to break it all down in just a few moments.
Love to see it. Max walked in this morning. He's like, let's go. Let's go, Spurs. Hey, another thing to be excited about, we're going to have a beautiful forecast, beautiful weather today. I know we're having a chilly start at 42 degrees. Sarah Spivey says things will warm up this afternoon. She's going to have a forecast when we come back.
Good morning. Welcome back. And go, Spurs, go. So, until last night, the Timberwolves were tied for the best record in the West. San Antonio, they had beat Portland on Friday. And last night, well, they got a back-to-back win, and it was fantastic to see. All right, early on in the ball game, look at this. A bat was flying around the Frostbank Arena, but don't worry. Coyote Batman coming to the rescue, and they got him. I think this is the third bat that the Coyote has gotten. All right, back to basketball. Trey Jones, beautiful lob to Wemby, early lead. Soon after, the Timberwolves triple. Well, that was no good, but Anthony Williams and flying back, enormous putback slam. Minnesota stayed hot to lead by 12 at halftime, but the second half was a very different story. Keldon Johnson, look at this. We saw Ant highlights. KJ flying through the air, one-handed jam. The home crowd going nuts. Fourth quarter now, tied until this. Step back three, Devin Vassell, splash. Spurs will not go down without a fight. Wemby, I mean, he's hype, and then he does the same thing on the other side. Look at that, another three, his third of the night. Edwards has no answer to tie the game at 112. Coming down to a last-second chance shot. Pull back three, and no good from Karl Anthony Towns. He hits the rim. He runs off with his hands on his head, and the Spurs pull off a huge win over the big dogs in the West, beating the Timberwolves 113-112. And it all started with a bat on the loose, homage to Manu. Add one to the history books, and Wemby finishing with an impressive stat line, 23 points, including shooting 50% from long range, 10 boards, a pair of blocks and steals. KJ bringing all the energy on the court, and Devin Vassell leading the silver and black with 25 points.
Football coverage brought to you by Davis Law Firm.
So if basketball doesn't get you hyped, maybe football will. The NFC and AFC championships getting underway on both coasts today, and two San Antonio natives will face off. The NFC title game featuring the Lions wide receiver, Josh Reynolds, and the 49ers right guard, Spencer Buford. Now, Reynolds, an alumni of John Jay High School, 7 catches, 107 yards, and a touchdown so far just this postseason for Detroit. And the former Wagner and UTSA talent, Buford, well, he continues to be a key piece of San Francisco's attack. No doubt, leaving it all out there, protecting his quarterback, Brock Purdy. So the NFC Championship, that is the late game this evening. The Niners favored by 7 points. And a little appetizer to that game, sure. We have the AFC Championship, the Chiefs and the Ravens. Baltimore favored by 4. That game is at 2 o'clock.
All right. I'm a lifelong Chiefs fan.
Okay.
Sarah Acosta.
He's a lifelong Taylor Swift fan.
May our powers be combined, Sarah.
Let me tell you, Taylor Swift is not hurting the Chiefs franchise. Okay. So that's all I'll say.
She's lifting up the NFL.
Oh, my goodness. We are moving on, and we are going to talk about temperatures outside right now. It is 39 degrees in San Antonio, 40 in Converse, 44 at Stinson, 33 in Comfort, and 34 in Kerrville. As for our forecast, though, we are very quickly going to warm up. This is a lot like yesterday where we started off chilly. Today, we're chilly out there right now, but total sunshine, hardly a cloud in the sky today. So by 10, it'll be 54, 62 at noon. We're only going to have north winds at about 5 miles per hour today compared to yesterday where it was pretty breezy. 66 for the afternoon high in San Antonio. Pretty impressive temperature jump by some nearly 30 degrees. And then it'll get chilly this evening for Sunday night. Temperatures will fall into the 40s after 9 p.m. Hey, let's take a look at the map and see what the high's going to be like in your neighborhood. 64 in Canyon Lake, 68 in Hondo, 64 in Rock Springs, 69 Del Rio. You can get up to 71 degrees though down near Laredo, 66 in Beeville, 64 in Gonzales, and 68 in Pleasanton. It is very quiet across the state of Texas. You can see hardly a cloud in the sky all across the state. There's a big low pressure system, stormy system working its way through the Great Lakes, even providing some areas of snow, some thunderstorms. However, this storm is actually bringing bringing us much drier air in San Antonio. I'm showing you a water vapor imagery from one of our satellites up in space. And look at all of this orange that you see here on the map. That is dry air in the upper levels being pulled in from this low pressure system. That's why we hardly see a cloud in the sky today, because of that dry air in those upper levels of the atmosphere. But in the wake, as that system moves off, we're going to continue to see even quieter weather move in as a high pressure system moves over Texas. High means dry, and that's going to be the case for us in the coming days. Now, we might see a few more clouds by Wednesday and Thursday as an upper level low moves across parts of Kansas, Nebraska. It's going to be hard for us to see any rain from this system. However, our weather pattern does change by Friday night into Saturday. Take a look at this potential system that's going to be moving through the southwestern portion of the United States. Snowfall for a good portion of California, Nevada, the Four Corners region. This low will be moving through Texas Friday night into Saturday, and our rain chance depends on where this low sets up. If it sets up a little bit further to the north, we're going to have less of a rain chance. If it sets up a little further to the south, very good rain chances here in San Antonio. And I know we've seen a lot of rain recently, but we could use some more. We still have drought in place. And as you look at rain chances over the coming days, again, not much of a rain chance through the week. So most of the week is going to be completely quiet, but by Friday into Saturday, that's when we'll have a chance for some of that rain. As for the forecast, cold tomorrow morning at 40 degrees, even some patchy fog for your early Monday morning commute. But like today, it will quickly warm near 70 degrees. Pretty nice and quiet in the week ahead with chilly mornings and comfortable afternoons. Things start to change on Saturday. And then notice that I put a front there at the end of the 7-day forecast. There are some indications that we could have another cold snap just within parts of next weekend and early the following week. I'll have more details about that coming up in the next half hour.
All right.
And go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
Thank you, Sarah.
Please.
Yeah.
We can agree on that.
No, we can.
Time
Go
now.
Chiefs.
Well, the Cowboys
8:20,
aren't playing, so. Yeah.
43 degrees, surprise.
Okay, things are heating up as we prepare for this election year. We have the latest primary election news after the break.
Good morning and welcome back. So tensions expected to come to a head in a debate today in Austin. U.S. Representative Colin Allred looking to protect his front-runner status as he enters the final week of the Democratic primary for the U.S. Senate. While many voters say they're still undecided, State Senator Roland Gutierrez of San Antonio has been crisscrossing the state and working to turn Allred's bipartisan instincts into a vulnerability. Voters can expect Allred, Gutierrez, and State Representative Carl Sherman of DeSoto at the debate today. For information and any questions, comments, concerns, just head to KSAT.com.
The deadline to make your voice heard during the primary elections is quickly approaching. There's only 8 days left to register to vote. U.S. citizens in Texas can register to vote if they are 18 or older by Election Day. February 23rd is the last day to apply to vote by mail. If you're looking to vote by mail, give yourself as much leeway as possible. The deadline for mail-in ballots to be returned to the county is Election Day, March 5th. Early voting runs from February 20th to March 1st. If you have any questions on how to register, how to get a mail-in ballot, or to see who's on the ballot, we have all that listed. Head over to our elections tab on KSAT.com.
Time now is 8:25, 43 degrees. All right, like we said, we have a leading SA triple header. In just a few moments, we're going to be hearing from Congressman Henry Cuellar, his perspective of the border, any idea of a bipartisan deal, and what could come next. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Good morning, welcome back, and happy Sunday. I'm Max Massey.
I'm Sarah Costa. It is Sunday, January 28th. Lots of football happening.
So
this
excited.
afternoon.
It is Championship Sunday, and we are so blessed here in San Antonio. Yes, we went through the cold snap, but you look at other parts of the country. I was talking to my family yesterday in the Northeast.
Gosh.
Miserable.
I love seeing all of the Northeast, like snow, like the Bills videos. I couldn't get enough of the snow.
fantastic.
Yeah. It was so good.
But here, Sarah Spivey, it was gorgeous yesterday.
Oh, it was beautiful yesterday. And today's going to be another beautiful day for us. Take a look outside. Total sunshine. It is going to be really nice and pleasant after this cold start. And it is cold right now. Temperatures are in the upper 30s, but they won't be there for long. In fact, just in the next 2 hours, we're going to see temperatures climb by some 15 to 20 degrees. It'll be 54 at 10, 62 at noon. North winds today at 5 to 10 miles per hour. A lot less breezy than yesterday. A high of 66. Maybe you need to get some errands done that you weren't able to get done last week because of the rain. Perhaps to the car wash. It's going to be great to get a car wash. You'll get a few good days out of that car wash too, because I do not anticipate rain for most of the week. It's going to be mainly quiet this week, but by Friday night, Saturday, decent rain chance. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up in the full forecast. And finally, I want to take ahead beyond the next 7 days and show you what we're watching for next. Perhaps another cold snap soon. Details coming up in just a bit. Max and Sarah.
Sarah, thank you. In your Texas headlines, the 2022 fertility data from the CDC shows more Texas women gave birth after the state banned nearly all abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy back in 2021. The data was analyzed by the University of Houston. The report says more than 16,000 additional babies were born in Texas in 2022 compared to 2021, which comes to a 2% increase in the state's fertility rate. The group that saw the largest increase was Hispanic women between the ages of 25 and 44, with an almost 10% increase over 2021. The CDC says this is the first fertility rate increase in Texas since 2014.
The alleged gunman who shot and killed 10 people at Santa Fe High School back in 2018 remains incompetent to stand trial. So in a decision signed by a judge just Friday, the shooter was recommitted to a Texas state hospital. This is the 5th time he's been committed since he allegedly opened fire inside the high school back on May 18th, 2018. He's accused of murdering 8 of his classmates and 2 educators, as well as injuring another 13 people.
The Austin Independent School District is introducing its first electric school buses. School officials say it's all part of a plan to fully have all electric buses over the next 10 years. The electric vehicle was rolled out on Thursday thanks to a September resolution to go green and minimize students' exposure to diesel fumes. Austin ISD officials say they plan to have net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2040.
We continue to cover extensively what is happening at the U.S.-Mexico border for a variety of reasons, including the fact that our community, it feels that direct impact.
So at 8 a.m., we were joined live by Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez. And yesterday, we spoke with Democrat Congressman Henry Cuellar. Here's our conversation.
Congressman Cuellar, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, the border has been top of mind across the country and, of course, here across the state of Texas. So right off the bat, what is your perception of the current state of the border?
You know, we do have a problem with the number of migrants. When you look at the number of migrants that have come in the last 3 years, we've had historic numbers. In fact, December, we were looking at, we saw over 302,000 migrants in 1 month. So we do have a problem, and we got to make sure that we address this not only on the 1 yard line called the U.S.-Mexico border, but also on the 20-yard line. What do I mean by that? Getting Mexico to do more to slow down not only people coming to the U.S., stopping people coming to the U.S. border, but also the drugs that are coming into the U.S.
Now, there's also an ongoing struggle between federal and state government regarding the borders and other states taking sides. So where do we go from here?
You know, it's very unfortunate because, look, does the state play a role on border security? Absolutely, they do. But they cannot try to say we're the ones who are going to secure the border and we're going to kick out Border Patrol, which under federal law and under the Supreme Court decision back in 2012, at the Arizona case, the Border Patrol has the authority to secure the border. So the state just can't kick them out. Now, does the state play a role? Yes, they ought to work together. DPS, the state military, should be working with Border Patrol hand in hand and not kick one out. They ought to do it together as a team.
And Congressman, you talked about the 20-yard line. You recently had a trip to Mexico, but was the trip fruitful?
It was, the Mexican president, the secretary, the cabinet, the national security cabinet, when they say Mexico's not doing anything, people are wrong. Can they do more? Absolutely, they can do more. But let me tell you some of the things that they've been doing. In December, we're seeing 10 to 12,000 people a day. Now it's gone down to about half. So the question is, why have the numbers go down? Did we build more border wall? Did we see more of the Texas buoys? Did we see more border patrol? The answer is no. What happened is Mexico started taking people off the trains that were coming into the U.S. They're getting people from the southern, our southern border, their northern border, and then taking them down to the area where Guatemala's at. They got people, they're stopping people at the southern border. They actually have more National Guard and immigration officers than we have Border Patrol. At least about 15,000 more Border Patrol than we have. So the reason the numbers have gone down is because Mexico is doing its part in what I call the 20-yard line. Can they do more? Yes. Can they keep it consistent? Sometimes they don't, and that's where we need to focus on along what we do at the border.
Okay, switching gears here. It's no surprise a presidential election is the top of everyone's mind. So take us through, what is your relationship like with President Joe Biden? And do you have any concerns about the election coming up in November?
Well, the thing to keep in mind is, look, I support President Biden. Do I disagree with him on the border? Absolutely. I can tell you that in December of when he won November 2020. In December 2020, I talked to his transition team. I started talking to the transition team and said, hey, you got to look at what's happening. I'm getting information that the migrants are starting to stage across the river, and they're coming in because they think they can come in under President Biden. And then I talked to him after the inauguration, and I kept talking to them. But then I saw that the White House policy was more interested in processing people than actually stopping people. And that's when I said, I think we got a problem with the policy decision. I support President Biden, but when it comes to this area, I think he needs to definitely make a course alignment or a course adjustment.
In terms of this course adjustment, I mean, you're a Democratic congressman at the border. Have you had direct communication with him in the past year? I mean, like you said, we just set a record in December. Have you reached out? Have you talked to the vice president at least?
Well, not on them. The last time I talked to the president is when I flew with him from Washington to El Paso. That was about a year ago. So I spent that time on the flight talking to him. And I think he knows what to do, but he's got to let his policy advisors understand that, we as Democrats, we can talk about border security and still be respectful of the immigrants' rights. Think about that. How many times do you hear Democrats talk about border security? 2 words, border security. We can talk about strong border security. And I can tell you, whether it's in San Antonio or all the way down to the border in Webb County, along the border, you have people that want to have strong border security, still be respectful of the migrants' rights, but we can talk about border security.
Well, Congressman, thank you so much for your time this morning. I know you have to get back to D.C., but thank you for making time for us. And for all of our viewers, you want to watch this interview in full, it'll be posted on our website, KSAT.com. And we have some late breaking news. We just got word that House Republicans have released 2 articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Republicans have vowed to push forward with efforts to oust the cabinet member over what they say is his failure to manage the U.S.-Mexico border.
So Democrats in the department, they say the articles unveiled today are politically motivated. They say it's a stunt, and they say that these articles have failed to reach the mark for an impeachment. The Republican-controlled House Homeland Security Committee, they're set to vote on Tuesday on the articles of impeachment, and they're trying to send them to the full House for consideration. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, has said the House will move forward as soon as possible with a vote after that. Obviously, this is a story that is evolving. It just came in, so we do expect to have more details and reactions online and on air at KSAT.com. Time now just about 8:40, 44 degrees.
44 degrees, a chilly start to our beautiful Sunday morning. The sun's out, clear skies. Sarah Spivey says it will warm up this afternoon. She's going to have our Sunday forecast when we come back.
Good morning. Welcome back and happy Sunday. Could it be another gorgeous Sunday like we had yesterday?
It will be a beautiful day. In fact, we're going to be even a little warmer than we were yesterday, although you wouldn't guess it outside right now because it is chilly. But temperatures are going to be warming. It's going to be mainly quiet this week. We do have a good rain chance, though, by Saturday of next weekend. And then I'm looking even beyond that. We could have another cold snap soon. Not this week, but the following week, it's possible. So we'll talk a little bit about that. First, it is chilly outside right now. It's 39 at the airport, but it's quickly warming. It's 47 already, and the Lotus will quickly be in the 40s here in San Antonio just within the next 5 minutes or so. And then by 10, we'll already be in the 50s. 37 in Kerrville, 41 in Seguin. Here's that KSAT 12-hour forecast. Again, at 10, we'll be at 54. We're going to be at 62 at noon. Sunny all day today. Not a cloud in the sky. 66 for the high right around 4 or 5 o'clock, and then quickly cooling this evening. Highs in your neighborhood, it's going to be 64 in Rock Springs, 69 in Del Rio, 68 in Criso Springs, 66 here in San Antonio, 64 in Canyon Lake and in Gonzalez, 68 in Pleasanton, 68 in Floresville, 66 in Seguin, 66 Converse area, 64 in Lotus and in Bernie and in Bulverde. It'll be 66 in Comfort. As we take a look at the weather setup, very quiet across the state of Texas. We are in a bit of a lull when it comes to our weather pattern. Not too bad considering that we got a lot of rain last week. That system has been moving off to the east. You can see a low pressure system bringing snowfall to parts of the Great Lakes, also bringing some snow for areas in New York and the New England area. This same system is what's actually making us sunny today because it's pulling in some very dry air across Texas right now. That's what this orange band is, very dry air. And that's why we're hardly going to see a cloud in the sky today. In its wake, high pressure is going to be moving in, and that is going to keep us dry too. Take a look at rain chances this week. Practically zero all week long. Hardly a rain chance out there. So because it was so rainy last week and we had the freeze before that, maybe take this week to do some yard work and things like. You will be able to do that because of the lack of rain chances. Rain chances, however, do increase by Friday night and Saturday. So with that high moving over, as I mentioned, it's going to be quiet. A few more clouds, though, Thursday, as a low is too far to the north to produce any rain in San Antonio, but it will be bringing us some clouds on Thursday. And then by Friday night into Saturday, that's when this big, strong low pressure system is going to move across Texas. There's still a question on its exact path. If it heads a little bit further to the north, we'll have less of a rain chance. But for now, I do think we have decent rain chances on Saturday, standing at about 40%. As you can see in the forecast, tomorrow morning, some patchy morning fog for your early morning commute on Monday. But then a lot like today, it's going to be sunny, near 70 degrees. Tuesday morning, another chilly morning, but near 70. In fact, most of the week will be pleasant with chilly mornings, comfortable afternoons. Saturday is when we have that decent chance for rain. And then it's beyond Saturday that we're watching carefully. So this could change. It's still about 7 to 10 days away, but we're watching the potential for another cold snap early next week, the 4th of February to the 6th of February. With this one, it is not going to be as cold as what we had a couple weeks ago. That is important to stress. And there is a light freeze possible at least. So that's what we'll be watching. We'll be keeping our eye on that and updating that forecast because, again, it's just outside of our 2020 vision when it comes to forecasting beyond the next 7 days, but it is something I'm keeping my eye on, guys.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Time now, 8:47, 44 degrees.
After the break, Max, one more leading essay.
All right, we've had 2 great conversations already today, and I expect the third will be just as great. Speaking with San Antonio charter moms, helping families and helping local parents who watch our show and join us every weekend, helping them try to navigate the charter school paths. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Good morning, welcome back, and happy Sunday. For all those parents out there, you probably know there are dozens of charter schools in and around San Antonio. And for so many families who are watching, navigating this process, which school to pick, it's a difficult process. And clearly it can be a tough choice with so many ramifications for your kids.
That is why Inga Cotton, the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, is joining us live. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Inga.
My pleasure. Good morning.
So before we really dive into the details, can you explain charter schools' relationships to, say, SAISD and other public schools?
Right. So the traditional public schools have been around for a long time. Charter schools have been around in Texas for about 25 years. And what's nice is that they are public schools, but they're open to students across a wider geographic area. What we're seeing is a trend where SAISD choice schools and open enrollment charter schools have unique learning models. And that's what's really exciting for families. They can find the learning model that's the best fit for their kids.
Okay, so what dates do parents need to know? What are the deadlines and what are the dates for the fairs coming up for parents to register their kids into charter schools?
Right. So we're having school discovery days because this is enrollment season. It's the best time to do your research and get those applications in. So we have an event on February 3rd at Second Baptist Church from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We also have an event at the Hemisphere near the playground, and that's on March 2nd from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And schools have different enrollment deadlines. So SAISD choice schools in particular, their deadline is February 15th. Some schools have earlier deadlines and some have late deadlines. So our Facebook group and our newsletter are good ways to get the details on that.
Well, as we talked about in the beginning, this process can be overwhelming trying to figure out what exactly they should look out for, what parents need to know before they pick a school. So what are some of the, categories that you advise parents to specifically look for?
Yeah, so you can look at, is it a high quality school? Standardized test scores can be one indication of that. But there's lots of different learning models. And so the better you know your kid, if you know your kid loves playing with robots, then get a STEM school. If they love to read and they love poetry and history, then a classical education school might be best for them. Child-centered learning gives kids a chance to kind of learn at their own pace. There's also culturally responsive schools that celebrate Black culture. So it's exciting for me because I'm always learning about what the new options are. There's even schools that serve kids with functional needs. So there's a new Celebrate Dyslexia schools. It's just for kids with dyslexia.
I know one issue for a lot of parents out there who may be watching right now, extracurricular activities, whether that's sports, bands, everything like that. How does that factor into deciding on which charter school to go to?
So I think there's a myth that maybe charter schools don't have those activities. They tend to be smaller schools. And so, for example, you won't find, tackle football at that many charter schools, but you will find a lot of clubs and a lot of extracurriculars that serve the focus of that school. So my daughter is on 4 different robotics teams because she's at a STEM school and she loves it. So, and they might have different types of extracurriculars, like going on camping trips or experiencing nature. So you'll find lots of interesting things at charter schools. They just might not be what you expect. Maybe not the same as you'd see at a neighborhood public school.
Well, Inga Cotton, the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, thank you so much for breaking it all down for us and for everyone watching, especially those parents. You can find this interview in full later today on KSAT.com.
Okay, it is a special Sunday for a number of reasons, but especially special here at KSAT because we want to say congratulations, happy retirement to our assignments desk editor, Tim Irvin. He started as our editor 2021, moved to the desk in 2022, and he actually was texting me earlier, telling me he's on his way.
So he's probably not watching this.
Probably not watching. He's probably on the drive on the way over. But Tim, we wanted to thank you so much for everything you've done for us on the weekends, your friendship, your guidance, your insight, and we want to congratulate you on your retirement.
Okay, but he's been at KSAT since 2021, but he's been in the news business, especially here in South Texas, for almost 40 years. Way
to go, Tim.
So thank you so much for everything that you have done to covering news and bringing those important stories to our community. It's hard to see those long-time experienced people in our newsrooms leave the newsrooms, but thank you so much, and I know you're going to enjoy retirement.
Congrats, Tim. Congrats on retirement. Let's take a look at the pollen count. We just got it in. Mountain Cedar is high today, but it is down from yesterday, so that's good news. And molds are present in low. It's at low amounts, but it is chilly outside right now. However, by the afternoon, we're going to reach 66 degrees in San Antonio. Generally, highs will be in the mid to upper 60s. And that's going to be the case for most of this week. It will be chilly in the mornings with some patchy fog tomorrow morning. Comfortable in the week ahead with rain returning to the forecast on Saturday.
Thank you, Sarah.
Have a great rest of your Sunday.